Rivers of Illinois, Mississippi, Illinois, Wabash, and Ohio. Economic impacts on local communities. The rivers in Illinois greatly impact communities around them, especially economically. Transportation. One of the most influential impacts big rivers have on communities is as a source of transportation. In Illinois, rivers are used to transport many different types of cargo to and from places all over the state. While ferry boats carry people and cars across rivers, huge barges filled with commodities travel all along a river's length. A barge is a large, flat-bottomed boat especially designed to carry very heavy loads. Most barges travel the rivers in chains of 15 barges pushed by a towboat. Transporting large amounts of materials by barge is much cheaper than moving the materials long distances by truck or by train. Barges need less fuel to go farther distances and can hold many more materials than a truck or a train. One barge can haul up to 1,500 tons. That amount is equivalent to 60 semi-trucks or 30 railroad cars. Barges commonly carry grain, coal, petroleum, stone, chemicals, iron, sand, gravel, and salt. Each year, 116 million tons of grain and coal, valued at $23 billion, travel the 1,118 miles of Illinois waterways. The Mississippi River carries 75 to 80 million tons of cargo each year and has around 600 barges on it each day. In 2010, 42,252 barges traveled the Mississippi River. Navigation alone on the upper Mississippi River and the Illinois River supports over 400,000 jobs. This available system of transportation attracts many industries around the rivers, especially agriculture, mining, aggregates, and manufacturing. Of the commodities shipped on the Illinois River, 9.3% are aggregates like sand, gravel, and rock. In 2010, 52.5 million tons of crushed stone worth $466 million was shipped by barge on the Illinois River. The Illinois River also carried $123 million worth of sand and gravel in the same year. In 2010, 16,928 barges traveled the Illinois River. The Ohio River is used to ship the most coal, making up 52% of the cargo on this river. In 2008, 79.8 million tons of commerce worth $13.9 billion went through Smithland Locks and Dam, one of the two locks and dams on the Ohio River in Illinois. Communities close to rivers are more likely to prosper because of this transportation advantage for industries. The United States ships many products to other countries through coastal ports. Both imports and exports can travel between Illinois and the Gulf of Mexico through the river transportation system. In fact, every year, 60% of U.S. agricultural exports are moved to world ports via the upper Mississippi and Illinois rivers. 70% of the nation's exported corn travels down the Mississippi to the Gulf of Mexico. The big rivers in Illinois add a great economic benefit to industries and communities on the rivers through this aspect of bulk transportation. Different from the other rivers, the Wabash River does not have any commercial navigation. It flows freely without a system of locks and dams and has varying water depths, making it too hard for barges to traverse. Commercial fishing. The economy of river communities is affected through the commercial fishing industry. This industry peaked in 1908 when 24 million pounds of fishes were caught in the Illinois River. This river was once responsible for 10% of the total inland river commercial fish harvest in the U.S. Fresh fishes from the rivers were sold locally, attracting restaurants and fish markets along the river shores, as well as nationally, being packed in ice and shipped to places like Chicago and New York City. Today, the fish harvest is sent to places across the globe. In 2006, the value of Illinois' commercial fish harvest was $777,355 from the Mississippi River, $441,958 from the Illinois River, $23,861 from the Ohio River, and $23,164 from the Wabash River. Catfish caught and taken for market must be at least 15 inches long, except in the Ohio River. There are no size limitations on carp, drum, bullhead, buffalo, shovel-nosed sturgeon, paddlefish, sucker, gar, bowfin, eel, yellow perch, chub, mooneye, goldeneye, carpsucker, and smelt, which are the only other species that can be taken commercially. Since the 20th century, commercial fishing in Illinois rivers has dramatically decreased due to pollution, invasive species, the lock and dam systems, and other human interferences. Today, a fisherman can possibly catch 40 to 50 pounds of fishes a day in the Illinois River. It is a similar story for mussels, whose populations dwindled due to the exploitation of native species for food and pearls in the past. Tanks along the shorelines were used to boil the mussels in order to extract the meat. Then the shells were taken to factories to be made into buttons. Button blanks were drilled from the shells, and then small holes were drilled into the blanks. In 1899, 11,300 tons of shells from the upper Mississippi River, a value of $139,155, were made into buttons which sold for $366,504. Harvesting freshwater pearls was also a big industry at this time and added to the overexploitation of mussels in the rivers. Some mussel harvesting along the rivers still exists today, but most of the industry's success has dwindled along with that of the mussel populations. Native fish species from the rivers like channel catfish, smallmouth buffalo, black bass, and gizzard shad have had many survival challenges in recent years. Invasive Asian carp populations have increased immensely. These species include the bighead carp, silver carp, and grass carp. They continue to thrive and may be negatively impacting native species. Their habit of jumping from the water when disturbed by noise is also dangerous to boaters and other users of recreational watercraft. A plan has been developed to try to help the fishing industry and maintain native fish populations. China has agreed to buy 30 million pounds of Asian carp from Illinois rivers each year. Whereas most Americans will not eat Asian carp, in China this fish is in demand. The Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity gave a commercial fishing company from Pearl, Illinois, a $2 million grant to expand their company and export the fish, creating 180 new jobs to help the local economy. Tourism and recreation. Possibly the biggest economic impact rivers have on the communities along their shores is in tourism. Visitors come from all over the world to see the rivers in Illinois to experience nature and history. Campgrounds, state parks, and historical sites make many of the local communities very scenic and great places to sightsee. Boating, hunting, fishing, bird watching, hiking, canoeing, biking, shopping, and going to wineries are attractions for visitors. Casinos and riverboats are fairly common and generate large incomes while providing jobs for the community. Recreational river activities attract non-residents and residents alike, who then spend money on transportation, lodging, food, and other items, bringing money into the region and creating economic growth. Because tourism plays such a big role in Illinois river towns, it helps diversify the economy of these communities. Recreation and tourism in these areas employ 143,000 people and earn $6.6 billion in revenue annually. Flooding. The rivers in Illinois naturally flood when they are not controlled and at times when they are. The historical flooding of the rivers has made the soil very rich and fertile. Floodplain soils grow crops that have higher yields than in many other areas. However, when rivers flood, they can destroy huge areas of crops, homes, towns, and anything else in their floodplain. Incidents like this can have devastating effects on the economy of local communities that have to deal with damages and rebuilding. Floods can also block train routes and roads and stop barge transport, hurting those industries. The catastrophic floods of the Mississippi River in 1993 amounted to $15 billion in damages for the U.S. In June of 2008, floods in southern Illinois caused $31.2 million in damages. Public utilities. The rivers greatly contribute to the water industry. The water industry makes drinking water and wastewater services available. 11 million people in Illinois rely on public water supplies for drinking water. Public water supply is defined as a system that provides water through piping or other means of delivery to the public. This public supply is the largest usage of water in the state, followed by industry and agriculture, where water is needed to cool power plants and irrigate crops. It can come from groundwater and/or surface water like rivers and lakes. 95% of the water used in Illinois is from surface water sources. In fact, Peoria gets half of the water the city uses directly from the Illinois River. Therefore, local communities by rivers are also impacted economically through the water industry. Overall, the large rivers in Illinois have a huge economic impact on the local communities.